Hey guys, this is Katie, and I just finished reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It's about 8-year-old Scout growing up in 1935 Alabama. She has an older brother named Jem and an attorney father named Atticus who is defending a black man, Tom Robinson, from the accusations of raping a white woman. I thought the book was interesting. I was a little confused in the beginning. About 60 pages into it, I just had to wiki it and find out where's this book going, because I didn't know, and the back cover didn't really tell me except that, oh, it's a really great book, you gotta read this. So I did, and I don't feel like it ruined the story any. I felt like I learned a lot about where the story came from. The story is actually loosely based on the author's real life. Even the character's last name, Finch, is the author's mother's maiden name. So if that isn't close, I don't know what is. It's also based on some trials that occurred during her time growing up about black men and segregation and race. I feel like this book would have been lost on me if I were a teenager reading it. Definitely feel like this is for somebody a little bit older who understands the world a little bit more and how things used to be and all that entails. I did think the book was a little bit boring in places, but also interesting in others, like watching the trial and understanding what the evidence was and how that played into everything. I thought that was really great how she wrote that. There are also a lot of other subplots, such as Scout seeing snow for the first time. She thinks that the world's ending, and then she and Jem don't know how to make a snowman, so they just roll giant balls of mud and then slap snow on it and call it good. I am from the Pacific Northwest. That is definitely not how you make a snowman. I would recommend reading this if you haven't read it before. Like I said previously, I had never read this. This wasn't required at my high school. You do have to get used to the language a bit. They say the N-word a lot, considering it is the South. They don't see that as a curse word like we do now. I did like seeing the part about racism and segregation as seen by an 8-year-old girl. It's a lot different than other points of views in other books. So I think that gave it a different light where, like the book Gone with the Wind, segregation and racism is not seen as a bad thing, it's just seen as a way of life, and she's growing up in an era where things are changing and that isn't seen as okay, except she doesn't understand that yet since she's only 8 and it's still the 30s and they still have a long ways to go before Rosa Parks doesn't give up her seat and all that jazz. So the book was a bit dry. Some parts were more interesting than others, but that's how a lot of books are. But most books don't confuse me to the point where I don't understand what the plot is and where the storyline is going. You don't really get to that until about a third of the way through the book, where this whole trial comes about, which is a main part and continues through the rest of the book with what the outcome was, and then also the anger involved with the accusers, how Atticus made them out to be bad people when they were telling the truth and things like that. So I definitely recommend reading it if you haven't. Like I said, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Read it if you haven't, and I'll see you in a couple days with my next book, which I think is going to be An Abundance of Catherine. Bye!